So good morning all the bodies. I am back in Potchefstroom and I'm grateful, so grateful to be back. So this morning we are starting with offloading some building rubble again. We are now at about 4 loads, 5 loads, and it just keeps on coming, which makes my heart very happy. We will find loads and loads of uses for this. In the meantime, I spoke to my father on Friday and said to him what shame it is to use these Oregon pine, old growth Oregon pine, in normal roof construction. See here, we're still cleaning it and removing all the bolts and things like that to reuse it again. And he said, why don't you speak to the people that were furniture shops and see whether they can't use it. And so that's exactly what I did. So tomorrow morning I've got somebody to come have a look at the wood and see whether they will exchange it for normal, exactly the same sizes and lengths, etc., but for normal construction timber that we have here. And then these old growth Oregon pieces can then be used, can then come to their own right in tables and chairs and furniture and things that will be appreciated for many, many years to come. It would be such a shame to use such expensive and such rare old growth Oregon pine. It's been grown in America 100 years ago, to use that in normal roof construction. See, this is normal pine. This is much more the kind of thing that can be used, where this is, for instance, this is Oregon pine, very rare and delicate pine, or very rare and valuable pine, I'd rather say. See if we can't exchange this for just normal construction timber, and then they can benefit from that. The next thing we'll be doing this morning is busy removing the shade net from the stable's roof, and then we will have to cut this tree out as well. Because of the fall of the roof, this tree is no longer going to be able to go through the roof, unless we want to have a lot of water in the stable. And we're not happy about it, to say the least. I like the idea of having living things going through the things through the roof, but we're gonna struggle with that quite a bit to make it work. So that tree ate through the blade of the chainsaw, been sharpened a couple of times today, and the guys gave up. They feel like they can't sharpen it anymore. Goes cut once and then you start seeing it smoke. This tree is hard as hell. These acacias are really, really hard, and so they resorted to an axe. Obviously it would change depending on who you are. I would much rather sharpen the chainsaw another time and even drive to town and buy another blade. But for them, that's the easiest way to do, is to go back to the axe. So we are back to the axe. I feel like you want to own a property in Namibia. My family is actually selling their house, 2 houses on one plot, one 10-hectare plot, right in the moon landscape in the desert in Namibia, close to Swakopmund. I'm going to put a link to that below, and maybe you can get your own greening the desert site. I think that could be quite nice. I quickly want to give you one of the interviews that happened during the weekend. I think that was rather interesting. Enjoy. This is the far side of the expo, and I'm here with Sylvia. Sylvia, thank you very much. Your company is, or your farmstead is called This and That.
This and that.
This
yes.
and that. This and that. And it works with English, Afrikaans and German.
With all the languages, however you feel comfortable pronouncing it. So the idea was to cover just about everything we do, to have a name that shows that we try a little bit of everything. We're very versatile. We do some crafting, we do some production of vegetables, some livestock, some eggs. So we needed a name that covers it all. Yeah. And it turned into This and That.
So what is it that you do? Sort of like,
So we come from a place where we wanted to live a healthier life.
okay,
We found that the food from the general shops we were buying was not serving us very well. We had health issues, and we wanted to make sure that we know what we eat. We wanted to cut the pesticides, we wanted to cut the fertilizers, and we also wanted to know that we eat ethically produced food, because we are very conscientious of our environment and want to make sure that whatever we do it in a way that is just to the environment
that
as
it
well.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. So, and that is where we came from. So whatever we do, we want to, first and foremost, we want to live a healthier life.
Yeah.
We want to be healthier people. And this is always our number one motivator.
Sort of produce things that you would like to consume yourself.
Exactly.
Fantastic. And so
But
you
then,
do pork?
we do pork. With the eggs, we're still very small, so that is something we still trying to get our heads around, because suddenly, for instance, the chickens decide in the rainy season they don't want to lay eggs anymore. So this is something that we sell quite leisurely and casually, but we don't produce enough for a bigger market. Then, of course, we try to keep our minds and souls happy as well.
Okay.
So we're very active people. We craft, we garden, we do all
I
of
see
this.
you've got some, is it bread boards or
Exactly.
like, or meat boards?
These boards are made of Kiat wood. Kiat is known to be one of the strongest woods you can get.
Okay.
It doesn't deform when it is covered in water. It can be inundated in water. It hardly deforms. It lasts forever. It's a very strong wood. You can have these boards forever. We use it for cheese boards. We use it as for pots. We use it as centerpieces. We use it to cut our roast on. And the lovely thing is, because it's Kiat, it's so strong, you can literally wash it with sunlight liquid.
Yeah.
And then if it becomes a little bit dull, then you put some cooking oil on. Once a year I do that. But
And
these
then it's
boards,
sort of back to fresh again.
it's an investment. This board will last you forever.
How much is a board like this, for instance?
So it really depends on the size.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I sold the smaller ones just now, but they range between 100 to 500, 600 there.
For a board.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then I see you've got some plants as well.
Yes.
Tell me about them maybe.
So I must first say we're not completely purists. So
Yeah.
we don't only plant Southern African plants, but we plant what we consume, what we would like to
plant what
consume,
works.
what will grow in our environment. We're very conscientious about that. We're not going to push something that is not happy in our environment, where we have to invest too much water, too much. We don't fertilize at all. So we try to do everything naturally. So we use plants that are nice for the garden,
Okay.
that are edible, that are herbal, that are medicinal, but anything that thrives in our environment. So
Good.
these are all the type of plant you can see that grows very easily in our dry environment. We're in the semi-arid Kalahari,
Okay.
so we have very little rainfall, but we do have water, and we hope our water resource stays clean. But so far we have usable
So you're
water.
close to the uranium mine that's
Sadly.
now in the big
Sadly,
fight. And
we're in
big,
Stampcreek, so yes, but we hope, we hope.
Just like 20 seconds, tell me about the water crisis that you're facing.
So it seems there's a uranium deposit in the area at a small village called Leonardville, and they want to extract the uranium by in situ mining. The process would put, however, contaminants back into the soil. Now, there's a lot of debate about the actual effect, because not enough research has been done, but it does seem that it will pollute our water resource. Now, that whole area where we are farming, there's a huge farming community. Some people even refer it to the breadbasket of Namibia, because we have this very beautiful aquifer, the Kalahari, the Stampcreek aquifer under us, a huge aquifer, which we're all relying on to produce the food we are producing.
Yes.
And there is, of course, huge concern what this will mean for this whole farming community when that resource gets
And
polluted.
for all of Namibia.
Of course.
That thing is, I think,
course.
many hectares big.
It is huge. It stretches all the way into Botswana and then even into South Africa.
Yeah.
So it's also
Thousands
a
of
cross-boundary issue.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that that hasn't been stressed as much as it should be, because of course it is very, from a conservation perspective, the Botswana part where it would stretch, there's a huge conservation issue as well.
Yes.
So it is very disconcerting, and we do hope our government will think about it very carefully. Yes.
Like that, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate it.
Thank
and I hope
you.
you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Okay, so here we are in one of the halls, meeting Diane Thompson. Diane, thank you very much for speaking to me.
It's a pleasure.
You are from the Botanical Society.
That's correct, yes.
Tell me a little bit about your mission and what it is you do.
About the society.
Yes, please.
Botanical Society. We've actually been in operation for over 25 years already.
Okay.
And we are a member-based organisation. So we rely on members to help us provide funds.
Okay.
I'll tell you just now what we try to do with those funds.
Yes.
But in the meantime, what we plan to do, what we do is raise awareness of indigenous flora. We have got so many endemics in this country, plants, trees, flowers, which are peculiar to this country only. And although you see some which are like in South Africa or Angola or neighboring countries, our mission is to raise awareness about that, to help people recognize them, but also to appreciate them. These are plants which are suitable for our environment, for our weather conditions, for our lack of rain and that sort of thing, and they grow well here.
Just
Yes.
Is there some sort of botanical gardens in Namibia
There-
focusing on native plants?
There is, yes. It's an address which is quite difficult if one doesn't know Windhoek that well.
Yeah.
But if you know where Windhoek High School is, the
Those things.
National Botanic Research Institute is there.
Are you involved with them as well?
We support them.
Okay.
We are a volunteer organisation and they belong to the ministry, the government. But there is a garden there which is an indigenous garden. So we have no imported plants, no alien plants,
Yes.
nothing, no exotics that have been brought into it. It's indigenous.
That's fantastic.
And that is open Mondays to Fridays
Okay.
from 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the Botanical Society have permission to have the garden open on the second Saturday of each month.
Oh, awesome.
And we have guides who take people around then in, various groups, language groups or so. We have different people. We do charge an entrance because that's sort of part of our fundraising, but it's also because of what we're able to give.
Yeah.
We do that. And the other thing that we do is once a month we hold talks on related topics. And that's usually the third Thursday of the month at the Institute. They allow us to use their premises. We support them financially where we can. We try to raise awareness of the aliens, which are such a problem at the moment.
I see you've got Lukina on here.
Not so much the aliens, but the invasive aliens.
Invasive aliens.
These are the
So
ones.
the Lukina, the specific one, Wonderboom,
Yes.
is one of my favorite plants. So I'm saying this on camera so you don't stab me. But this is obviously under control and so on. It is a fantastic plant. What would you say is the biggest problem currently facing Namibia with the invasives?
That's actually very difficult to say. The list is very long, and they are drawing up a comprehensive list at the moment, but there are 12 of them which are of serious problems at the moment. Cactus is obviously one of them, rubber vine, prosopis.
Sorry for going down your list, but I assume the longer thorn cactus, or all cactus, all the prickly pears, or just the specific?
That as well. we know that it has been planted on farms, perhaps for fodder or perhaps for protection or what have you. But it spreads very, very easily, very quickly, from bird seeds or any piece of the cactus which just falls on the ground, roots and goes. And there are areas of the country where it has overtaken too much of vegetation and land.
I agree. And sorry, I'm
That's all right.
running through this. Datura obviously is a very, very bad plant with very little use. Cactus, I believe there's some use. The Leucaena, I believe there's some use. Let's go through this list quickly. Thorn apple, very little use.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Also poisonous.
Also very poisonous.
It's a hallucinogenic for some.
Yes. Yeah. We spend quite a lot of time removing this from our land.
Yes.
Just because it's very difficult. Purple fountain grass. I have never seen this. Where do you find this as a problem? In gardens or?
Yes,
mostly
in gardens. It spreads very easily, very quickly, and overtakes the vegetation, other vegetation which is around there.
Purple fountain grass.
I think we've got them all.
We've got them all. Okay.
Mexican poppy is another one which you can see over there. The Mexican poppy.
Oh yes, we have them as well. Yeah, we also find them quite a lot. Okay, and your favorite tree in Namibia? I know that's a strange question for somebody that loves Namibian trees.
Quite difficult to say because, different trees grow in different areas.
Of course, yes.
So down south, the quiver tree is spectacular.
It's a fantastic
and
tree.
when it has flowers, when it blooms, it looks very special.
I think that happens to be one of my mother's favorite trees as well. Yeah.
The camel thorn is also very special because it takes a long time to grow, but it has so many uses, shade-wise, pod-wise, and it is indicative of this country.
Yes.
That's really so.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lion.
All right.
Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Is there anything else that...
Well, yes, we do have a website.
Okay.
And anybody who's interested can look up. It's... out of my head, sorry, I would have to think.
No problem. I assume if you Google Botanical Society of Namibia,
you'll get it.
In on that. Botanical Society of Namibia, then you'll definitely get to the website.
And email address, nambotsok@gmail.com.
Nam?
Botsok.
Botsok.
Yeah, short for Botanical Society.
Okay.
Short for that,
Botsok
yes.
@gmail.com.
@gmail.com. And that's monitored, and we're happy to answer questions or give information.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you also.
Well, my friends, now it's time to put some more beans into cans. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.